What's up to all you lovers out there?
Hola.
It is Juan Gee here, and we are back from a long hiatus of interviewing, but we are so excited to be sitting down here today with a wonderful cast.
Absolutely. So what do you get when you put a preacher, a social activist, a fierce drag queen, a butch queen, a female to male transgender, and a military vet in a pot and shake it up? You get the Dingalogues. And we are here with the fabulous cast
Right, let's
of the Dingalogues.
Dingalogues.
All right, so a few introductions for all you lovers out there. We have Derrick Tennial, who plays Pastor David.
Yes.
Say hello to the people out there.
Hello.
We have Rigardo Rush, who plays Free. He's the butch queen. Erick Dillard, Melody, the fierce Southern Belle drag queen.
How y'all doing?
We have Larry Walker. He plays the social activist Malik.
Hotel.
He was doing all kinds of fist pumping in his face. And we have Rayshawn Smith in the middle, aka Afra. Parker, that's our transgender FTM, female to male. And John Collins, last but not least, who plays Jonathan, the military vet.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you for being our first interview after our long hiatus. This is really exciting.
It is, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys. First and foremost, the play was amazing.
Thank you.
Can we fan out for a minute?
Yeah, that was so amazing, and I think that you guys did such a great job of bringing so many different characters from the community all in one pot, and I learned so much. I think I related to each and every one of you in some way, but it was great, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Gentlemen's Foundation, everybody that came out, from the foundation, thank you all the support we got from them.
Absolutely, we love you.
It was deserved. So, I know the number one question before we even dive into this interview, this conversation, Dingalogues. Why?
Because we couldn't call it Dick.
That's a good start.
We
said
said
all
75 times in the play.
It was 75?
75.
Really?
We did a tally the other night. It was said so many times.
It was said a whole
Mostly by you.
Yes.
I mean, people cringe enough when you hear Dingalogue. I don't imagine it was Dick or something.
Oh, God.
That's how I was thinking. Something Dick.
It started as, all of us came together, but John, and Larry were at an event where they were performing. And we were just sitting there and they were doing spoken word and poetry and whatnot. And I don't know, just something kind of sparked in my mind, and I just said, man, we need to do something with this. So after John got through doing his part, he came down and sat, and we were just, eating waffles and whatnot. And just a conversation ensued, and we just said, why don't we start putting this together, and we can do like a type of vagina monologues, but something that's more geared towards our community and demographic, make it black male gay, and then make people, so it just kind of organically came, and then we started adding everybody, and that's how it started.
That's why it was so amazing, just because how organic it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. I'm gonna say that 75 times.
Okay, y'all keep a tally, all right? That was already.
That's gonna be your shot word every time.
Oh,
you
yeah,
say
okay.
So, you mentioned it was just an organic idea that kind of blossomed into this full-fledged production that ran. Remind me, when did it run originally in Atlanta?
June
3rd
3rd
through the 5th. June 3rd, June. So who wrote it?
We all
You all wrote it.
All of our individual parts.
Okay, so talk to me about that writing process and the inspiration behind the characters. Was it personal experiences?
Yes.
Or did you draw inspiration from other people? Let's start with John.
For me, it was actually what was portrayed in the play was actually my story. We talk about military sexual trauma with my character and what the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy kind of did to individuals who are LGBT, especially black LGBT members of the military community. I served 8 years active duty Navy and 6 years reserve. My second tour, I was like 19, 20 years old. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I was finally able to be gay and just, be who I am, and linked up with this guy, and, just thinking everything is gonna be peachy keen, and turned into this love story, and ended up being sexually assaulted. So that is actually portrayed in the story, or in the play.
And it was a powerful, powerful moment. Like, and me, as you're speaking, and I'm reliving, sitting in the audience during that scene, and I literally feel it through my entire being right now. It was so powerful. And the way you all juxtapose what happened in real life on the stage with the digital effects was simply amazing. It was simply amazing. So talk to us, how was it reliving that moment of the sexual assault night after night?
It was tough. It was tough. I had to. That was the first time I was actually able to revisit those moments and actually relive it. I wasn't able to talk to anybody about it. I couldn't, talk to my superiors. Couldn't talk to my parents about it because we were in odds with my sexuality.
How long ago was it?
That was 19. So I'm 36 now. That was. Yeah.
Wow.
16 years ago.
So I imagine that you got some healing out of this experience, being able to revisit and come to terms with some of the things that happened to you.
I got a lot of healing out of it. Put my castmates through a lot in terms of what I had to deal with. There was some nights that they needed to stay away from me, and I probably would have been best if I stayed away from them. I had to really go there and deal with it. Like I said, that was the first time I actually had to recapture what I went through. Recapture the anger, recapture just my manhood being taken away from me without it being a choice of my own.
Right.
So, yeah.
Can I grab one part of that too? When I would say the most for us watching him go through it, the most powerful moment was when we had our tech night. And we were going through everything, just trying to make sure everything was working the right way. And John's part, he was scared, especially with the largeness of putting that experience on screen. So it's one thing to deal with it within yourself, but then to have that private moment literally projected for all the world to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I just applaud him for having that type of confidence to go ahead and let us take it to that level. But when we did our tech night, that was the first time he actually saw everything, heard everything, experienced everything at the same time looking at the screen, and just the way that he broke, we broke, and we were literally just huddled and weeping because the healing had finally kind of like come full circle for him.
It like to be churchy. You went through deliverance.
Yeah. I was like, what a spiritual moment. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
So John, one more question. So President Barack Obama has initiated the repealing of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So now men and women in the Army and our armed forces they're able to be their true, authentic self, but there's still that veil of don't ask, don't tell that still exists. What do you say to those people out there who are going through the exact same thing you went through in 2016?
Wow, that's a great question. I really don't have a definitive answer for that because I'm still it's still new to me. So I'm still searching those answers out. I've gotten emails and Facebook messages and people stop me on the street or just randomly at different places that I'm at and they'll, hey John, I went through that same thing. And so I can kind of empathize with them. So if you have someone that you can talk to about it, that you feel confident enough to entrust that type of information with, you have to get it out. I wasn't able to. I had to keep all it in.
There's something that I think we practice with you that I think those individuals that you brought up would benefit from. And that's just being patient. Being patient with themselves, being forgiving of themselves. The fact that President Barack Obama repealed that oppressive sort of structure is an indicator that it's a slow process. It may not feel copacetic, it may not feel 100% safe, but to have a commander-in-chief prioritize your private and almost subversive experience is a great first step. The military, I was raised on several military bases, and the cultural oppression that one has to maneuver through there it takes a level of finesse. And so the fact that they are prioritized and the fact that this is a shift towards a more inclusive armed services,
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you have to take a moment and celebrate the smaller victories. You can't expect things to be so transactionally better, but it's moving in the right direction. And so that's why John's particular story, in spite of the kicking,
Yeah, I think one of the most important things you just said is to be forgiving.
Yes.
I mean, because I think a lot of times we can be so hard on ourselves. Why am I over this yet? Why am I still dealing with these feelings? But be forgiving of yourself. So that was good.
Yeah, understanding.
I mean, we can actually interview all one by one.
Don't forget to get groomed.
To get groomed for the gentleman's ball.
But whatever you do, get groomed for the gentleman's ball.
How you doing? This is Melody Mirage of the Dingalogues, your interpretive illusionist, reminding you to get groomed for the gentleman's ball, October 15th, baby. We'll see you there.
What's up, everybody? It's Jamal,
And Octavius.
and we're so excited to be bringing Groom to the Gentleman's Ball this year, October 15th, 2016.
What's up, everybody? It's Juan Gee here, co-founders of the Gentlemen's Foundation, inviting you out to the 5th Annual Gentlemen's Ball, Harlem Renaissance.
That's right. On October 15th, we celebrate the true gentleman at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. Visit www.thegentleman'sfoundation.org to get your tickets today.
See you there.
So Rick, you just mentioned the concept of a transactional success, and we're so eager and ready and wanting this instant transformation or this instant outcome. And Derrick, your character, Pastor John, like as I was sitting,
Pastor David.
Pastor David, I'm sorry. I had John on my mind. Pastor David, as I was sitting there watching you, I wanted that transactional transformation. I wanted that. I was like, why doesn't he just accept himself? Why doesn't he just say it? Like you started so many times, and you just never really got there until towards the end of the play. So talk to us about that, that struggle, that process of self-acceptance and affirming your characters, I should say, and if it's loosely based on you, you can throw in your own personal experience. Feel free. Talk to us about that process.
feel free. Yes, God. Yes, God.
As you said, it's a process. Going from being very religious and having been taught from a very young age that homosexuality is an abomination, that it goes against the natural order of God. You've got to work through that and understanding that this image of God that religion has presented to you is not the image of God that is real or realistic. You've got two extremes here that have to be reconciled. And that is the process. I tried to pack about 30 years of my experience into a 2-hour play, where you see Pastor David, in church praising God, praying to be delivered. That is indeed my story. But at the next breath, sees a fine brother and is like, yeah, I want that right there, and I'm going to get it. Okay. And so it was this back and forth, this battle of I want to live right, I want to do what God wants me to do, but at the same time, I cannot ignore who I am on the inside. So how do you bring those things together, those two together? And that's what I wanted to present with Pastor David. I wanted him to be a well-rounded character that grows and transforms, and not just a static character that we oftentimes see across the pulpits of America, where we know, the congregants know, that the minister is struggling with his sexuality, and the only person he hasn't come out to is himself.
Let me ask you this. So obviously the play was condensed.
Yes.
And so in your personal life, What was that final moment when you gave up the fight?
The final moment when I gave up the fight was when I was actually driving down Colby Road, and I had an experience with God where God called me a hypocrite, and I'm like,
God called you a hypocrite?
God called me a hypocrite. And I was like, me? You know, God, I've done everything, you know, I preach, pray, prophesy, all of that. And he said, yeah, but you haven't been honest with me about who you really are. And that was a question that Spirit God asked me. He said, has your being gay stopped you from being who you are, who I said you would be, or doing what I said you would do? And my answer was no. And he said, then why are you worried about it then? And from that point to this one, I've never worried about it ever again. So that was my moment of complete and total freedom.
How long ago was that for you?
Oh God, that was 14, 15 years ago.
Oh, you were old then. Oh, wait a minute. You were old
Wait a minute. So, Derrick, you said something there that was quite interesting, and it was a throwaway, but it stuck out in my mind. You said, I want to live right.
Yeah.
And so that concept of living right is something that it's different for everybody.
Yes.
And so, Rig, your character, Free,
Oh boy.
the butch queen in all his or her glory,
It changes.
would say he was living right. Yeah. Would you agree?
I think the character Free doesn't really fit into the realm of right or wrong. I think, you know, there's some people who say, oh, he's wrong, he's this sexualized stereotype, that's not real. And then there are other people who say, oh my God, he was this empowered, transcending, free-spirited person. I think Free was just being authentic. Free was being fully present in a way that a lot of people are afraid of. I think his character truly is an extension of my personal experience. Free sort of everything that I did, or everything that I did not do in my personal life, Free did.
Oh, I was just going to ask that question. Like, were you always at Free? Because Free was free.
Free was the freest of them all. Yes. Okay. Well, probably all. None of that. Little.
We have all that.
Yeah.
Can you explain explain to me, what is a butch queen? Like, what should you consider a butch queen? Because I get a little confused by that.
So, I mean, the way it was explained to me, and the way I've kind of learned how to personify it, is visually you can tell that the person is male. But energy-wise, mannerisms, tonality of voice, personality, if you closed your eyes, you would see a female. And so, you know, when we think about the movie Tu Wong Fu or Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, you have these personas where sometimes if you reflect on Tu Wong Fu, you almost forget that they're men. They're dressed as women, but you the impression and the imprint who impact you was a female. That is the essence of a butch queen. And so a butch queen, depending on the ratio, I could look androgynous. I could be, you know, biological female, and based on that definition, the impression labeling was male, that still could sort of fit in that definition of the way that I described it.
And give total boy too.
And give total boy. And so I think the difference between Melody and Free, drag queen versus butch queen, is I'm not wearing any makeup. I'm not wearing any wigs. I'm not necessarily wearing any heels, although I could and can. In essence, it's the feeling. So when people reflect on Free, the character, there are times where you're like, oh, that's a man, when I'm eating him alive in our monologue. But then in my opening, it's just like, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl, it's both. Okay, I get it. That's butch queen.
And on that note, we're going to take a break, go get some popcorn and refresh our drinks. We'll be back with the fabulous, fabulous, fabulous cast of the Dingalogues.